on set. Places, everybody. And action.
It's time once again for the Hooked on Movies podcast. Today, we will be continuing our back-to-school theme with the 1984 release, Revenge of the Nerds. With me are Ken.
I don't know what the world is coming to. See that person over there? We arrested him for mopery.
What's mopery?
Mopery is exposing yourself to a blind person.
Oh dear. And Ted.
Eric, I say we blow the fuckers up.
Can't argue with you there. And I'm Eric, of course. The ponding question of my life. What the fuck are lobster craws? I don't know. Well, here we are again. Another podcast, another week. So what is going on with you guys? What's going on, Ken?
Not too much. I bought a bunch of movies. Can't remember barely any of them that I bought. You were with me. I can't seem to remember which ones I got, but I think it was A Christmas Carol was one of them, the 1951 version. And then all the other movies that I got to Eric, even including that one, Eric, was just like crap, more crap.
Oh, you had some winners, quote unquote.
Yeah, I bought this movie, Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay.
I also got Little Shop of Horrors, the 80s version.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, really, I watched the first episode of Murderers Only in the Building.
Season 4.
Season 4, which they've been renewed for a season 5. So
Great
they don't
show.
die. I guess they don't die at the end of the season 4.
They're not murdered. Good to know. How about you, Ted?
I watched a few movies. I bought a couple. The movies that I watched Into the Wild again. I like that movie with Emil Hirsch. And then I watched the documentary that they did about the real life person from Into the Wild. And then I watched The Town for probably the 30th, 40th time.
Mm-hmm.
I love The Town.
You know who doesn't like The Town? Quentin Tarantino.
Really?
Yeah, I was reading a
It's
thing. I
unfortunate.
think I posted it on our Facebook page. Maybe I did, or maybe I didn't. But yeah, he listed things that he didn't care for, and he didn't like Ben Affleck for what he did with The Town.
Interesting.
Really? That's interesting because it's universally loved. That's
Not by
really
Quentin
interesting.
Tarantino.
Not by Quentin, apparently. I like it.
All right. I do
Quentin
too.
Tarantino, though, thinks that the Toy Story trilogy is the best trilogy out there. So
Wow.
That's true. I have heard that. And I also watched, because I had to watch something junky, I watched 21 Jump Street and 22
God.
Jump Street.
sorry, man.
Wow.
You went to your Beverly Hills Cop 3 roots there.
No.
That's pretty close.
21 Jump Street is so much better than...
You
Beverly
said 20,
Hills
but
Cop
you also
3.
said 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, I watched 22 as well, because I watched 21, so I had to watch 22.
You have to admit, 22 Jump Street is doing the Beverly Hills Cop 3 thing.
It's not good. It's
You
not
should
as-
watch the one that launched it all, the Fox TV show.
No.
Depp and Grieco.
Yeah, I know.
Grieco and Depp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
By the way, I have tickets for tomorrow to go see Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Oh, good for you.
You'll have to let us know how it is. It opens today.
Well, July 6th for the recording date that we're doing here. Who knows when this episode will come out?
Yeah,
Probably 2 months from now.
probably. It'll be the biggest movie of all time.
Unless Tim Burton screws it up.
Now, Ted. Come on. You know you love Tim Burton.
No, yeah. Well,
Oh, you love Tim Burton. You're a closet Tim Burton fan.
the only
Yes,
thing
she
would be
is.
better is
Yes,
if Tim
yeah.
Burton directed John Wayne in a movie.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the car today.
Both those things.
Yeah.
Tim Burton, you, and John Wayne. How ironic.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Come
We were
on,
saying-
Ted.
We were saying that you were a
Countless
closet Tim Burton fan. So,
Yeah. We agree you don't like John Wayne, but
He made one, maybe two good movies.
Tim Burton?
Mm-hmm.
Can you name them?
The first one,
Batman.
he stupided his way into it, which was Batman. And if
Okay.
it wasn't for Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, it would have been debatable if he would have been able to pull that off.
But he did. And
God, I don't even know.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Beetlejuice is watchable.
Why don't you name another one, Ken?
Well, I know the one that actually will set Ted off. Sleepy Hollow.
Oh,
God,
yes.
fucking-
I think
I
that's
His
can't-
what.
hatred of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh my God.
See,
It was,
I did
it's
not
so
like
disgusting.
Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands? Ted?
Yeah, I don't like that either.
No? Don't like it?
No. I despise The Night Before Christmas.
Hmm.
I think it's horrible. I hate his animation.
Hmm.
His animation is horrible. It's what he did to Sleepy Hollow was wrong, and he did the same thing to the Sweeney Todd.
Seeing a trend there, huh, with his actors? So,
Mhm.
It's all Johnny Depp movies, basically, right?
Johnny Depp
So,
and his wife, and he has to make his wife look as ugly as possible.
she's still hot in a lot of those movies. So, how about these movies? Ed Wood.
Ed Wood.
Ed Wood's a very good
Hey,
movie.
we didn't get a no. I'm going to count that as 3. All right, keep going.
It's
I actually prefer Pee-wee's Big Adventure, of course. We did that movie.
Oh,
we
God.
talked about this before.
That's a Tim Burton movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's 4. Okay,
No,
keep going.
No, it's not 4.
Keep going. 3.5.
Didn't you like
Nope.
the movie Dumbo?
Ooh.
I haven't seen it.
I thought you saw
But-
it with Annalise.
No,
Keep going.
Michelle,
Keep going.
or Michelle's dad saw it with
Keep
him,
going.
Oh, okay.
and he said it was bad.
Keep
So
going.
That's
Come
why
on.
I never watched it.
Oh,
'Cause
there's
I
only a
have a-
handful.
I have a connection to the original, so
Batman Returns, Mars Attacks.
I love Mars Attacks.
a lot of
How
people
can
do.
you not like Mars Attacks?
I
Here-
don't.
Here's another one Ted will despise, and I think Eric, you'll probably agree with him on this: The Planet of the Apes, because there's only
It
one
was
Planet of the Apes.
disgustingly horrible.
Damn you, dirty apes.
Big Fish. I actually think Big Fish is a
That
pretty
wasn't
good
a
movie.
bad movie. I saw that in the theater, actually. That was unique.
Yeah.
Charlie and the Chocolate
All
Factory,
of
Okay.
his movies are unique.
Yeah.
Corpse Bride,
Mhm.
Alice in Wonderland. Okay,
Okay, now we're getting scary.
Dark Shadows. I kind of like Dark Shadows
Yeah.
actually. Frankenweenie
Mm-mm.
Frank and Weenie for the kids.
for the kids. Mrs. Pettigrew Home for Peculiar Children.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Another
but that's
kids-
it. You think he actually would
kids
have
book.
more, but
Another kids' book
he's got
series.
20 Academy Award nominations. So
Okay.
he's got-
Well, we're not talking about Tim Burton on this podcast, so we should probably move along.
do we have to though?
Yes.
How are you doing?
What did
Eric?
you-
What's new
What
with
did you do
you?
this week?
Hey, how you doing? Hey, doing all right, doing okay. I am getting back onto the Sopranos wagon. I watched it once, long time ago. I'm sitting down, I'm watching it, and I'm analyzing it, and I'm really enjoying it. Really, the first time I watched it, a lot of times it was in the background. I wasn't paying attention. This time I'm really paying attention to it, catching a lot of stuff that I didn't get the first time. So
It's
I've just
awesome.
started. It is awesome. Just started season 2. I'm hooked. I know I've seen it before. I know there's like 7 or 8 seasons on it, so it's going to be a while. But usually when I start a series, that's usually the only thing I watch, because if I start it and then I start something else, I get sidetracked in like 3 or 4 different series. stuff.
Gandolfini is amazing as Tony
He
Soprano.
was. Gandolfini was great actor.
Mhm.
Went too soon.
Way
Great
too
supporting
soon.
cast. And, everyone knows I love stereotypes. Love them.
Mhm.
This show is just one big Italian stereotype. It is so good. So good.
Especially Paulie Walnuts.
All of them. All of them. Hopefully I'll get this thing done the next couple of weeks or months. But these are like,
You'll have to
What?
highlight. You'll have to highlight the week that you watched the episode, The Pine Barrens. That's the best episode.
yeah, I will. Yeah, 50 some odd minutes an episode. So, all right, we're getting off on a tangent again about everything but the movie we're talking about. Well, let's talk about this one here. When was the first time you saw this movie? Of course, it came out in 1984. Ken, cable, of course, or first
Yes.
run? Yeah.
Cable,
Nighttime, parents are sleeping.
pretty much.
Yeah, that's how I did it too.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
This is up there with the first time I saw naked women on TV. This is one of the first movies. This and Animal House.
Well, this movie definitely pushed the R rating in some of its visual effects of the female body.
I will say, though, what qualifies me to review this movie today is I, too, rode a tricycle while drinking a beer.
Cool.
Funny thing is, I believe that.
I do too.
I do. Yeah.
I can see it.
I've had sex on a waterbed. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You'll never see that
I didn't
again, right?
ask.
That was a
Is that what
slushy.
qualifies you to be on
That
this?
was a-
Because the
That was a
thing was
swishy.
like a waterbed?
Oh, yes.
That's a swishy experience.
It is a very swishy experience. What
Did you
about
also...
Ted?
I saw it the same way you guys did. It was probably on cable.
We shouldn't have been.
have no idea. Coming back was like a first time experience, and it was unfortunate. But I don't
What
know.
qualifies you to review this movie?
Well, nothing nearly as interesting as you two. I guess I was considered a nerd. I was a choir geek, so choir nerd.
Aw, sorry, man.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. I'm not a nerd anymore.
You can check out our Facebook page here for the Hooked on Movies podcast. Ken is doing some great work there, some great articles, some wonderful banter between everyone out there. And if you're one of those people that are on X or Twitter, Hooked _ on movies. Did I say that right, Ted?
Hooked
on?
_ movies.
Oh, Hooked _ movies. I'm not on Twitter or X, so I always botch that up.
Yeah. Hooked on _ movies.
Why?
Movies.
Like, why am I on the internet?
Here? So, yes.
Why am I on?
So keep it up, Ken. You got some great stories that you've put up there on Facebook.
Talking about that, I wanted to mention here about AI. So I pulled up our show. If you click on the AI link, it'll take us to our podcast.
Since we should
But I
quit.
guess we are 3 women. 2 of us are actually, in the movie business.
Sweet.
And our favorite movie that we've reviewed is Joker, which we haven't reviewed yet. So I don't think AI is fully there yet. But the
That's
link
interesting.
works to take us to the podcast. So if
Really?
you're
Wait a
looking
minute,
for
huh?
You are a woman.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I mean, there's that.
I'll be a woman who's in the movie industry.
I'm so happy you look at me that way. It's appreciated.
If you're really, on that AI kick and you're disappointed that we're not 3 women, sorry.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
But
Maybe.
Ted, we have to do Revenge of the Nerds, so kick us off.
Do
Give
we
us
have
the particulars. Come on. You know you want to.
Okay.
It's not Beverly Hills Cop 3. You
Come
can,
on.
You can get through it. Oh, gosh.
All right. So Revenge of the Nerds was directed by Jeff Cano. He had with a screenplay by Steve Zacharias and Jeff Buhai. It has a running time of 90 minutes. It was released July 20th, 1984. It had a budget of $8 million. It had a box office gross of $60.4 million. That's
Blows your
including-
mind, doesn't it?
That's including rentals. That's the only time I've ever seen that of any movie we've ever done. That's how bad this movie did at the movie theater.
But it did good in the rental market.
Right.
VHS, man.
For particular reasons.
How ironic you say that, because the movie I watched a VHS rental copy
There you
of this
go.
movie that I own.
See?
Small
If there-
world, man. I'm part of that 60 mil.
Anybody who knows anything about the rental business knows why VHS beat out Beta.
Yeah.
But they wanted this movie to fail. This was their write-off movie.
You can get into that when you get to your production. This is my time to shine, okay?
Okay.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 71%, which I was very surprised by, and an audience score of 73%,
Which
Which
you're
is-
also very surprised by.
which is made up of all males. I guarantee
Siskel
you.
and Ebert loved this movie.
I
Males.
don't know. They
Males.
were
They
both high.
loved it.
They were high. They were so high when they didn't watch this movie, it wasn't even funny. Okay, so Revenge of the Nerds stars Robert Carradine as Louis Skolnick, Anthony Edwards, Goose, as Gilbert Lowe. I'm sorry, he's going to be Goose forever. Ted McGinley as Stanley Harvey Stan Gable. Julia Montgomery as Betty Childs. Timothy Busfield as Arnold Poindexter.
A creepy looking Timothy Busfield.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
I don't know what deal he had to make with the devil that ended up making him look the way he did in this movie. It's horrible for actually a halfway decent actor. Andrew Cassis as Harold Wormser. Curtis Armstrong as Dudley Booger Dawson.
Talk about someone who's been typecast his whole career.
Yes, exactly. Larry B. Scott as Lamar Luttrell. Brian Tochi as Toshiro Takashi.
Takashi.
Michelle Meinrich as Judy. Matt Salinger as Danny Burke. Donald Gibb, one of the famous Gibb brothers, as Frederick Aloysius Ogre Pawlowski.
Also been typecast.
Yes. James Cromwell. That's the one that I don't understand at all. As Mr. Skolnick. David Wohl as Dean Ulrich.
Ulrich.
And John Goodman. That was impressive.
Early John Goodman. Yeah.
Yes, skinny John Goodman. As
Skinnier.
Skinnier.
As Coach Harris. Bernie Casey as UN Jefferson.
Yeah.
Alice Herson as Mrs. Lowe. And Lisa Welch as Susie.
How about that?
Lisa Welch. Is that Lisa Welch from...
How about
that's Lisa Welchel from Facts of Life.
Yeah.
Totally different girl.
Right. Yep, that's unfortunate.
Who looks exactly the same now as she did in 1982.
She does.
Yes.
You talk about aging perfectly.
Yes.
And I don't think she's had any work done either.
No, she hasn't. No.
She looks amazing.
Yeah. I know it's very hard for you to read those, Ted. We appreciate it.
There are some names in there that I just don't understand. Timothy Busfield and James Cromwell, I just don't get.
Anthony Edwards won't even acknowledge the movie, from what I understand. So,
well, that's good because he's Goose. He is Goose.
He's also ER. I mean, the man's got a career. I get it.
Exactly.
Well, he made this movie roughly around the same time frame.
Even in ER, he was still Goose.
Well, let's talk production. What do you got, Ken?
I have a question for Ken's production.
Okay, what is your question?
Is Robert Carradine part of the Carradine family?
That's a good question.
I'm going to say
the answer would be yes.
Damn,
John Carradine is his father.
John Carradine?
John Carradine.
Okay, so it's not the Kung Fu Carradine. It's not Kill Bill Carradine.
It's not David Carradine.
David is his half brother. Keith Carradine is his full brother.
Wow.
Okay. That's an established, well-known family.
And the funny thing is, too, if you look at him today, he doesn't look like a nerd. He looks like a halfway normal adult.
Yeah. They did something physically with his mouth to make him look that way.
Of course they did.
I mean,
the hair.
John Carradine, his dad was a famous horror guy.
Oh yeah,
One of my favorite guys.
The Carradines are a legacy family.
Yep.
They're kind of like the Barrymores.
The Barrymores.
Kind of like a poor man's Barrymores, though.
No,
Barrymores.
That's however you want to look at it, but they have an established family. People know, if you say Carradine, people know who you're generally talking about.
They're thinking Kung Fu fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact about Robert Carradine is that he moved into the University of Arizona for 2 weeks before shooting to get into his character. He had brought only nerd clothes to wear. I guess that was a thing in the 80s, nerd clothes.
I guess.
But he couldn't bring himself to leave his hotel room for 3 days. So I don't know if it's the clothes or whatever. But
he's a character.
So he didn't get the crap beat out of him on a daily basis?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So this was shot at the University of Arizona. Some of it was shot at other locations. There was a little going between the university and the film producers of this movie. For 2 weeks, they were free to shoot whatever they want, but then the university stopped that, and they had to renegotiate. They didn't want to be another Animal House movie.
Oh, heaven forbid we'd be successful.
You know what I thought was really weird about this movie, just getting right off the bat there, is that Adams College, known for its computer and stuff, the Atoms, has a football team. It just seemed very weird.
Like I said earlier, this movie was had a low budget because they wanted it to be a flop because this was a write-off. I'm showing on my numbers that it grossed $40 million at the box office without rentals.
So $20 million in rentals.
But $40 million for 1984, it's very successful.
You know, it always blows my mind that movie houses and production companies have like flop movies out there for write-offs.
Tax purposes.
I get it. I know.
And of course, they for extras they use
nerds.
They use real nerds. No nerds were harmed in the production of this film. So, people from the local college as extras. As far as like some of the roles and how people got them, Donald Gibb, Ogre.
Ogre, you asshole.
He had to shave his beard off because he looked way too old.
He looked like a biker.
Yeah. He looked way too old to be playing in this movie.
Yeah, right. He
Well,
did.
yeah,
So did Ted
recently,
McGinley.
Yeah.
he had recently done.
He'd been
Bloodsport.
quarterbacking for like the last 10 years off of upload episodes. So
But Ted
He was-
McGinley,
He was in Bloodsport?
yeah, he was the one that was John Claude Van Damme's best friend.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah,
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Ted McGinley, he got this job by being on a USC cover for the college. And
that makes sense.
pretty boy.
So he said, yeah, pretty boy, come on down. And
that makes
and
sense.
he only killed TV shows. He didn't kill movies at that
That's
time.
true.
So.
That's true. Happy Days, Love Boat, Married with Children comes to mind.
Yeah.
If he's on your TV show, you're on borrowed time.
Well, you know what? Married with Children kind of lasted a little bit longer after he jumped on. So I don't know if that's... But the Love Boat thing was the kind of thing that started all that. Happy Days, Love Boat.
There was a Apple TV show that he did. It had Harrison Ford in it too. The TV show is called Shrinking. He is...
What happens when you go in the shower?
Yeah,
Shrinkage. Like a scared turtle.
He is really funny. He doesn't have a major part in it, but the part that he plays, he is very funny. I don't know if it's been picked up for a second season. I hope it is. It's a Jason Segel.
Okay.
He wrote it and directed it.
Well, all right, everyone, get out there and watch Shrinkage.
Last time I saw him, actually, I kind of watched the Revenge of the Nerds 3 movie. I'm sorry.
I don't know why.
I don't know, it was free.
Were you a hostage somewhere?
I was doing research and I was using YouTube, and they had it for free.
Did ISIS take you hostage?
Hey, this is not Revenge of the Nerds 4, though, which is Booger getting married. So that tells you right there how bad that was.
Kind of like American Wedding.
Oh, they went.
I like American Wedding, actually.
Write the video, man. Write the video.
Curtis Armstrong, who plays Booger, actually went out for the role of Gilbert. He told his friend, Brunson Pinchot.
It's Pinchot.
Bronson Pinchot.
Yeah,
Pinchot.
This cop. Yeah.
Balky Bartockamers.
We just talked about him. They're friends. He says, I'm not picking my nose on camera for anyone. And of course, he took on the character. But he added a lot more stuff to the character because the character
he did.
Wasn't really well thought out. I mean,
because I'm sure the character was well placed and well fleshed out on paper.
Can you imagine if Bronson Pinchot was in this movie?
It would make sense.
And last but not least, the person who was supposed to be Ogre as well was Sting, the wrestler. So,
really?
But he didn't get
that makes sense. So. That's cool. Good move by Sting.
One last thing I'll say about Curtis Armstrong was he was a classically trained actor.
I knew you were going to say that he's a thespian.
He is a thespian. He's in the Shakespeare.
Classically trained, yeah.
How far he fell.
I was going to say it's like complete 180, 360.
What was the movie that he did before this?
I have no idea.
Playing a high school student, best friends with Tom Cruise in...
Risky Business.
Risky Business.
Sometimes Joel, sometimes you gotta say what the fuck.
And who was also in that movie that we just mentioned that you guys were surprised
Bronson Pinchot.
Pinchot. Yeah.
The memo minder.
Gotcha.
Memo. I love Risky Business.
That's probably why they were friends.
Probably,
and he played kind of the same character. He was going to Harvard and he was really smart, but he was just kind of like this grungy little...
I didn't know that was him. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is him. And then after that he did what's that one with John Cusack in 85?
Better Off Dead.
Better Off Dead.
Okay.
Street Value of All This Snow.
Yeah, and then he did Moonlighting for a few seasons.
He was in Moonlighting. You're absolutely right. But he's still kind of typecast.
Every time you see him in a movie, he's like, that's Booger.
It's like, what's his name from American Pie?
Oh, Stifler?
Stifler. He's Stifler. Doesn't matter what he does.
It's not somebody you know by their first name. You just know him by their character name.
Stifler. I know Stifler's got 3 names, and I'm drawing a blank on him. I want to say David Allen Pierce.
Sean William Scott.
Sean William Scott. I knew he was like some kind of a killer name. Arrested for mopery, Sean William Scott. Today in the news.
Also typecast.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. He's Stifler. Doesn't matter what he does. And Curtis Armstrong is Booger. So let's talk about the setup. Best friends and nerds. Best friends and nerds. Nerds. Louis Skolnick and Gilbert Lowe enroll in Adams College to study computer science. The Alpha Betas, a fraternity that includes most of the Adams football team, carelessly burn down their own house and, urged by Coach Harris, take over the freshman dorms, throwing the freshmen out into the street. Dean Ulick designates temporary living space in the gymnasium and allows the freshmen to rush to fraternities. Lewis, Gilbert, and several other nerds fail to join fraternities, but obtain and renovate a dilapidated house near campus. The Alpha Betas, led by star quarterback Stan Gable, are irked by the nerds' success, and Stan sets his fellow members to harassing the nerds, which includes throwing a rock through the window that says, "Nerds get out." The nerds complain to campus police, who are constrained by the Greek council, who apparently run the college. I don't get it, but that adjudicates all such pranks. Stan is currently president of the council and largely controls its processes. The nerds decide to seek membership in the Greek council by joining a national fraternity. All right.
You say Animal House?
I know it's kind of like a poor man's Animal House, but it's got a little bit of its
Kind
own
of.
character.
I mean,
It's
when
got-
the council runs the college, I mean,
I know it is kind of like Animal House. I mean the opening scene just kind of tells you, they're driving in the car. Dad's got the cruise control set at 35.
The opening scene where
You know what you're getting.
Anthony Edwards is in bed fully clothed.
Yes, it's a little weird.
So ignorant.
How about the theme song? Driving while they're in the car, the
I hate,
Revenge of the Nerds theme song.
I hate that song.
Oh, boy, that'll keep you up at night.
It makes Go Tootsie Go look like
Go
Let It
Tootsie
Be.
Go. Yes.
the weird thing about this, and I know Ted was shocked by James Cromwell playing, the father
Yeah.
of
Lewis.
Lewis, but he came up with the laugh.
Oh, did he?
He came up with the laugh for this for the nerds. Yeah, he based it off his wife's laugh.
That's unfortunate.
It is kind of funny that they look at themselves as ladies' man.
Oh, clearly. Oh, it's hysterical.
Not the first time that particular derivation has been done before. It brings nothing new to the whole idea that, here's a geek who thinks he's a ladies' man. All right.
And then his other friend has no self-esteem at all.
Well, I
And
mean,
the one with no self-esteem is the one that gets a girlfriend first.
well, I mean, if you think about it, this movie is 40 years old this year. There wasn't a lot of movies before this that did this type of movie. Animal House was kind of like the first college comedy type of movies like this. And so I think this is still one of the pioneers of this type of movie. Yeah,
Was Porky's before this?
Yeah, Porky's is 81. But they weren't nerds, so.
And they were in high
They
school.
kind of were.
No,
They were in high school. No, they weren't nerds.
They weren't nerds at all. No. In fact, one of them played on the football team.
Meat.
Meat. Yeah.
Meat.
And then there's meatballs. I mean,
Yeah, that's summer camp. I mean, there's genres before it that are similar, but yeah, there's not really. Can you think of anything even recent after this that's like a nerd movie? I mean, there's got to be some.
I don't know. I mean, you had nerd characters. Like if you looked at Anthony Michael Hall's character in 16 Candles.
Good call. Okay.
So,
and he didn't think he was a nerd either.
And it's, certain characters are treated like nerds or outcast. I think outcast was the thing that kind of really became a thing after nerds. It wasn't really a nerd, but didn't really fit in either.
The word nerd wasn't used, but you're not the cool people.
Right, but you weren't like one of the smart people either. You were kind of just that, like a loner, didn't have many friends.
Yeah.
That's kind of like where it went after, let's say, the mid-'80s, I would say.
Yeah.
It's more of an outcast type of character. The disappointing thing here is how much fun they could have had with the beginning of this. I mean, they're carrying the the luggage around, walking into ponds and through people and stuff like that. They cause a little bit of an accident, but in general, it's very tamed. I thought they could have had a lot more fun with the fact that, well, these guys are scrawny and they shouldn't be able to lift that thing.
I was thinking that too.
Thought they missed the boat of having some sight gags that would have worked a little bit better. The one gag that you have is Ogre hanging a student by his ankles and dropping him. What happened to that
He
student?
he should have been paralyzed.
I mean, yeah, well, we don't know what he fell into, though. He fell into
Based
the
off of
bushes.
how he fell onto the ground.
I think he fell into the bushes.
Probably the bushes, but
doesn't help. But
and of course he's yelling out nerds, and they're looking around like, who is he talking about? And it's just like, you guys just said that you guys were treated like nerds in high school,
right?
Of course they're talking about you. So, beginning of this movie, I mean, we're kind of, I don't know. I mean, you just have all these stereotypes.
It is the stereotype of setups. Literally,
right, which this should be made for you, Eric. This movie should be made for you because it's.
I still didn't understand why they got moved out of their dorm room and into the gym. I thought that was just stupid.
Because apparently, as the dean doesn't hold any power, and apparently the football coach holds all the power to move his players into the freshman dorm.
Right. The actor said that the dean and the coach were lovers.
Dun, dun, dun.
So,
what actor said that? Was it John Goodman?
No, it wasn't John Goodman. It was like just the cast in general. When they were doing their kind of like Q&As, they were saying that was kind of the background idea. It wasn't really like factual, but they kind of played it off.
Because they were always next to each other and they never left each other's side.
They never left each other's side. Wherever the coach was,
that's true.
The dean was.
The
only time I remember the coach being by himself is when they got the itch in their jocks because of
on the field.
On the field, and he's like, we forgot to practice.
Also after they before they trashed the house, when the coach is when you were born and your daddy was looking at you. After they did the little skit thing, all dressed up as cheerleaders. I don't think they're saying on the Q&As with the cast. I don't think they're taking it seriously. I don't think they're lovers.
Probably not. But at the same time,
it's funny. I get it.
They did fight like a married couple.
They did.
A little bit.
Goodman was going to slap him around at the end.
It would be one thing if this football team, if we knew they were a great team. I mean, we don't know if they're even a mediocre football. If they were successful, that's one thing.
Insert jock here is what it is.
And then at the end, of course, the stereotypical black football team comes up and intimidates them, right?
Of course.
Throw that in there, too.
It wasn't a football team. It was members of
Lambda. It was the football team.
How do you know it was the football team?
You don't think it was the football team?
I don't know who it
why
was.
Does
I just assumed
every black guy had to play football.
Exactly.
Team.
I assumed it was the football team.
Maybe it was their nerds. I mean, you don't know.
Oh, clearly, yeah, it was the Lambda nerds. Yes,
exactly.
Because I assumed it was the football team of wherever the hell Lambda was.
Lambda.
So
I would assume that they were part of an HBCU,
historically black college or university.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the abbreviation for that. I do have a problem with how the jocks got out of their house. So they're doing the fireball thing with the alcohol.
And now fireball's a real drink.
He aims it at the drapes. It's he's sitting there. He's like, where else can I blow this flame at? Why don't I go right at the curtains and see what happens?
Well, he is wearing overalls.
It's a typical stupid jock.
Yeah, they look surprised that that even happened. And of course, the fire department's going to tell you that it was not electrical. We know what caused the fire. Somebody's in trouble here.
Here's the thing that makes it different from Animal House is you have the uncool people that you're supposed to feel sympathy for, and the cool people are the assholes. They have the party house that's the football house, the jocks, and then the nerds they're supposed to be the hip thing, and it just doesn't work.
The hip thing?
Yeah, they're supposed to be the cool kids now.
Who?
It just doesn't work. The nerds. You're supposed to feel for them what you feel for the guys of Animal House, and not the Niedermeyer and those guys.
It's a different type of sympathy, though, because the nerds are supposed to relate to anybody who's ever been, kicked around.
Yeah, I get it from the last
Final scene there.
Right. When I was in school, I didn't fit in the jocks, but I wasn't a nerd. I was kind of like in the middle somewhere. I was like maybe lower middle class, whatever you want to call it.
Lower middle class.
That's what the movie people are trying to do here. They're trying to get the people who don't feel like they belonged with the jocks and the cool people.
Yeah, because if you weren't a football player, if you weren't an alpha, beta, or a jock, you were nothing. So it wasn't you were either a nerd or you were, like you said, middle of the road. But the nerds obviously were the just direct targets because they look different, they dress different.
But they classify the different groups in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh yeah, nerds.
So
dweebs.
there was more than we know that there's more than just two classes of people.
Day Off, they don't expand on that. You don't actually see other than Ferris. And his group.
Later. It's later teen movies that you see the breakdown.
But you see 16 Candles,
right?
Where that's the case. I mean, you have Anthony Michael Hall's character who's a nerd. He's trapped under the table. I mean,
and then you have the mid crew that's Ducky and
Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, Molly Ringwald's character.
Yeah, the Breakfast Club does it a little bit maybe better when they show all
the Breakfast Club's amazing. That's why.
And because Anthony Michael Hall's character again is a nerd or nerd-ish type of character, but Bender is giving him a hard time.
He didn't play it that way though.
Well, he was because he was a little bit of an underachiever in his family, but he was the smartest kid there. He's the one that writes the paper at the end. But the other kids give him a hard time because he is the nerd. He's in astrophysics or something like that. So
he's the smart kid. He's the smart kid,
but he's looked down upon.
Right.
So, and that's what this movie's depending on is their moviegoers can relate to the nerds more than the jocks. They don't want to be either one. Because
they hand-handedly force you to.
Well, yeah, they told you to pick sides. They don't have a middle. If there's anybody that's the middle, it's the moos, the girl sorority.
The girls, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. They call them moos. That's so derogatory. It's not even funny.
You're not
getting away with that today.
No, not at all.
You're not calling them moos. I can guarantee you that.
I wish we would have seen more of the fraternity pledging contest and stuff. I mean, we see a little bit of it.
Glad we didn't.
We see something that looks like what happens in the Animal House.
You wanted to see him screw a goat, didn't you?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
That part is not even funny.
Have you ever made love to a woman?
But it did remind me of the initiation in Animal House, where it's
kind of a little bit, but it's a little extreme.
Well, aren't they dressed in robes too, like in Animal House?
Yes, they are.
All that was missing was "Thank you, sir, may I have another?"
Right.
Yeah. So
assume the position. It was just very. I don't know.
Stupid. No.
Okay.
Continue with your words.
It was stupid that Louis Skolnick was so infatuated with that cheerleader that he would walk up to her and ask her about pledging a fraternity and take her advice.
Exactly.
And think she was serious.
And he's supposed to be like Bluto, like John Belushi's character, who had a crush on Babs.
Right.
And it doesn't equal.
But you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. They're ripping off Animal House a little bit.
Yeah. A
little bit too much. They're going by the Animal House playbook.
John Landis should get some money off this one.
And it's not even remotely funny.
No.
Well, 70% of America would disagree with you, I guess.
Well, I guess we know exactly why 70% of America watched this movie.
TNA, baby.
And it was
Bush.
all men. And that's why VHS beat Betamax out for popularity in the home theater wars. Porn.
Yep. That's right. It's 100%.
That's why this movie gets 71%. I dare anybody to say that this is their favorite movie.
Well, I doubt if it's their favorite movie. I don't think anybody would say that because this is not an Animal House type of movie.
It's not even in this. It's not even in the same stratosphere as Animal House.
well,
And
to
I
you,
think,
but
and I think this is the problem. We watched these two movies too close together.
Oh no,
And
that's
that-
not the problem.
no, not the
Oh,
problem.
no.
It is.
no.
It is for me.
Oh
It
no,
is for me because I was consistently comparing it to Animal House, and
It should be compared to Animal House.
and it's probably unfair to the movie.
No, it should be compared to Animal House. It took a little bit too much away from Animal House, so I don't think the time frame means anything. I think the problem with this movie is that it doesn't age as well as Animal House does.
No,
Animal
the
House.
jokes aren't funny anymore.
Here's the thing: we thought was funny in Animal House him Ludo staring in a blue girl's bedroom and watching her start to masturbate. We think that's funny, but if we say
He
it in this,
wasn't masturbating.
she was masturbating.
No, she wasn't.
She was about ready to put her hand down her panties.
Oh my God, I did not.
she is starting to do it.
Yes,
Oh, clearly.
Really?
Oh, clearly. You didn't
Ted
see.
didn't.
That's
Then I need
that's
to rewatch.
dude.
this
That's
movie.
why he
You need
fell
to stop
back on the
watching that.
ladder.
That's why you need to
Okay.
stop watching it on TBS.
Yeah, that's why he fell back on the ladder. That's exactly what she was doing.
Now, I've never taken that impression.
We'll talk about this more when we get to the scene later on when they
Frame by
do the
frame.
panty raid. So
Frame by
Frame
frame.
by frame.
Yeah,
Frame by
right.
frame.
Yeah.
Ted's going to rewatch Animal House now, even after we've done the podcast for it.
Exactly.
So.
Well, I would rewatch Animal House just because I love Animal House.
I think some of the things are funny. I mean, there's some parts in here where they're in the gymnasium and they're trying to like live their lives, and basketball's still going on. The basketball comes in, and
Oh God.
I mean, there are some funny moments here.
I had one legitimate full out laugh in this whole movie is when they're trying for their last time to get into a fraternity and they pan back and there's the black guy that's the head of Lambda Lambda Lambda. I legitimately laughed. I thought that was funny and I think he's hilarious.
Wait, what scene are you talking about?
When they're standing before and you don't know it's a black fraternity. And they're standing.
Oh, but you see all on the wall, all the photos on the wall.
That
Oh.
legitimately made me laugh. And his character, the two guys who are the head of Lambda Lambda Lambda, those two guys, their interactions made me laugh.
Like when they're at the party?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the only two that made me laugh. They're the only two characters
He's
that
like,
I
he's
like.
like, this is some good shit. He looks
Exactly.
at him, yeah.
And then at the end, when he looks at him and says, "Oh no, you're in," when he finds out that the jocks are taking advantage of them and everything, he's the only character I like in the whole movie. He's the only one that I find funny. As far as writing goes, they do an amazing job with that.
I don't even know if I even think he's funny. He's just kind of a straight character that I guess his reactions to what they're doing are kind of humorous. Right now, I don't think there's a really funny character. Booger is what we're supposed to be liking, right? In the first part
And
of
he's
this
not
movie.
funny.
I think he has his moments. He says some lines like, "What are you looking
Okay.
at, nerd?" I thought I was looking at my mother's douchebag, but that's back in Ohio or something like that.
It's disgusting.
He's got some lines that are funny, and he's kind of become an iconic character recently enough.
I guess.
I agree with you to a certain extent. The thing was, when I first saw this in the 80s, I think it was much funnier, especially when we were having trouble finding things to think that are funny at the beginning of this movie. It's what it is harsh. The Beta's throwing the nerds out of windows, not just out of windows, but through glass windows.
In front of the dean. And they're just like, gather your clothes, let's move on. Yeah, it's like throwing them out of windows, doors, in front of the dean.
It's weird.
It is a little weird, yes.
The one thing I probably do like that Ted didn't care for, that Gilbert gets a girlfriend.
That upsets you, Ted?
No,
Doesn't
no
upset me. I'm completely indifferent to it.
You mentioned it earlier.
I guess he's the most interesting character nerd, in my opinion. I mean, I think it's based more or less because I like Anthony Edwards as an actor. I think his character's more
But you're
interesting
using
than
you're
the
using
others.
that bias because you're looking at it with Anthony Edwards. He's Goose. He's
Right.
he is an established actor where all these other people, for the most part,
Are just,
I mean,
yeah.
Timothy Busfield, okay, yeah, he's established, but
Yeah, I know who Timothy Busfield is, and I just
like Ken said,
he lost a bet.
Booger is the one who most probably everyone identifies with as being
You
the coolest of the nerds.
I guess I kind of like Wormser a little bit. He's the 11, 12-year-old kid.
It's creepy.
Is it? In what way?
Yeah.
Well, without going into the second part of the movie,
Kind
how
of
is that
creepy.
At the beginning of the movie, I don't think it's creepy though, and I don't think at the end of the movie it's creepy. I think it's in the middle there where you get into the sorority house later. I think that's when it gets creepy. But
no, it's creepy
really,
from when his parents drop him off till the end. He shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
No.
Here's the thing
it
too.
happens,
I was really surprised that they had a gay character in the movie. I thought that was very interesting for a 1984 movie. That's
a black gay character on top of that.
to say the least.
C-Ted C-Ted is above it's ahead of its time.
It was, yeah.
It is revolutionary, right?
However,
But
it was
they
stereotyped.
stereotyped.
Oh, totally, but still a trendsetter.
And it's funny that he was the one that liked Michael Jackson.
Right.
I thought that was funny.
And Larry Scott, who plays that guy later on, had to, because he's not a homosexual.
He had to prove to everybody he's not gay. He had
to prove to everybody else that he wasn't. So
he did a good job.
When he went into his audition, he wore glitter all over his hair. That sold him. So it's not a bad character. I mean,
he acts his ass off for not being gay.
I mean, most of these characters are just not very likable. I mean, do you really like?
Not.
I don't really like Lewis. Lewis is kind of an asshole.
Kind of pretentious. A little egotistical.
Yeah. And he's not even the smartest one. Anthony Edwards' character is the really smart one.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if they've actually.
He's going to be
smartness.
I guarantee you, he's going to be the richest out of all of them.
He's the one that's smart enough not to do the other sequels.
No, he's the one that is huge into computers.
Lewis is more of the inventor, it looks like.
But he's got the robot.
Yeah.
And Timothy Busfield's character is going to be rich too, because he was supposed to be pre-law, wasn't he?
I thought
he was pre-law?
I think so,
pre-med.
because he's the one that comes up with the bylaws for the
That's
Land
right.
of
He's
Lambda.
reading the. Yeah, you're probably right.
And I'm assuming he's law at that point. That's the only thing that leads me to believe that, because there's nothing else for the character in the entire movie.
Booger is not a nerd. He just wasn't chosen by a sorority. He got kicked out of the freshman house. So he's maybe not
I never knew why
guy.
he fit into the whole thing to begin with either.
Yeah, it was because he was kicked out of the freshman house and no other fraternity picked him up. So he just fell into the nerd's lap.
So all the freshmen coming into this university are nerds?
No. At the beginning,
they were able to pledge fraternities.
Right.
So they all got in. Freshmen are not allowed to pledge fraternities. They made the exception. They all got in. The ones that were left were the ones in the gym.
In the gym.
The nerds.
Gotcha.
Hence the comedy begins.
No, it didn't.
Hilarity ensues.
I guess if you like somebody, you're probably liking John Goodman.
I was taken aback.
You didn't like him in this movie?
I think John Goodman's pretty much funny in just about anything.
He's
that
your
he does.
stereotypical football coach. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He was actually what a football coach should be.
But he had some funny stuff in this movie, especially when they were assigning the nerds to the gym. He had some facial expressions that were kind of funny. Overall, the nerds are not really that likable.
No. And that's a big drawback.
I think if you don't have Lewis and you have just Gilbert and the rest, I think they're more likable, and I think then they would care about him a little bit more.
But you need Lewis in the movie.
You would have
he has to be there.
Yeah, because he's the only other really main character.
He's not a good friend.
No, he's kind of a dick.
That's what I'm saying.
And he shouldn't be. And that's one of the problems. George W. Bush made a very interesting comment. Being born at third base and thinking you hit a triple. That's his character.
There's a weird segue.
That is Lewis's character in a nutshell. He thinks he's so way above his skis, or way above his status, that it's almost unbelievable. There's so many things wrong with his character.
But
He
you
is
need
a
that character.
jerk.
You need that jerk asshole character. That's
You do,
but not as one of the
it's-
guys that you're supposed to like.
but that's the whole point of it. Is you're not supposed to like him. It's
Then
supposed
who
to
are
be.
we supposed to like?
It's a yin yang kind of thing when it comes to the nerds. You
Well, the
align
problem is-
yourself with some, but then some you're like, well, no wonder you want to get the crap beat out of them.
if you were to say who's the main guy in this movie,
Yeah.
Lewis is the main guy in this movie.
Yep.
If you made Gilbert the main guy, then it would be different. If you gave more attention to Gilbert and then made Lewis kind of like the side character, the secondary
Because isn't
character.
Lewis the one that's the main character in in all the sequels?
Yes. Lewis is the main character in this movie.
And I
he's
I
not
don't see it.
And he's not a likable. Whereas you got somebody like Anthony Edwards, who's a likable actor to begin with. What Anthony Edwards does in this movie that is funny is he actually can sometimes look like he is a kid. He's much
Yeah.
older.
Yeah, he
But-
can play younger than.
He can play younger than his age, whereas Robert Carradine, he can't pull it off. He can't
No,
pull off
no.
that he's 18, 19, 20 years old.
And to be frank, Anthony Edwards, besides the little kid, is the only one that can actually pull off the fact that they're not in college.
Well, I don't know. I think Larry Scott, who plays Lamar, the gay black character, I think
Maybe.
you could do that. Do we really buy Booger as maybe he's
No.
fifth year college? I
And
would put him as a
and
freshman.
all of the jocks they look like that they're in their 40s.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think maybe when you get to some of the other houses and stuff, maybe that's fine. I mean, Takashi looks like he should be 24, 25 at least. And that's another character where it's like, okay, stereotype like to the 10th level.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
It is a little embarrassing. Though
Is
I
that
do-
wrong? It's right around that area. You got 16 candles. What's happening? Hot stuff.
Ugh,
Sure.
You've got
that's
the
also
Asian
cringy.
stereotype. I'm just saying, it's not unheard of. It's kind of the way it was in the mid 80s.
Where the Asians were kind of like the comic relief
Yeah.
in the movies.
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Better Off Dead, where
It's
you got
still-
the guys who
At
was
least-
it Japanese or Korean guys that don't speak English.
Yeah.
They only learn English through
Yeah.
Howard Cosell.
Right. That's
It's-
great. They even dress like them.
It's not what's his name from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Mickey Rooney.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
That's one of the worst.
Well,
I mean,
that's a white character. That's white
that
man
is
playing a
Horrible.
different race, which
Yes,
that's
that is
totally different.
So horrible.
Why don't we move on to the build?
Let's move on to the build. After 29 rejection letters, the only one to consider them is the black fraternity Lambda Lambda Lambda, the Tri-Lambs, led by UN Jefferson. After meeting the nerds, Jefferson is about to refuse their application when Poindexter notices the Tri-Lambs rulebook states all applicants are given probationary membership. The nerds organize a large party to impress UN, but their dates, the pies, ditch them. Gilbert's girlfriend, Judy, invites the Omega Mu's sorority, similarly made up of nerdy and overweight women, not all of them. The party is dull until Booger provides everyone with high-quality marijuana. Hey, everybody, Wonder Joints. The Alpha Betas and the Pi Delta Pies disrupt the party by bringing and releasing pigs. The nerds exact revenge on both groups by pulling pranks of their own. Impressed with the nerds' tenacity, Jefferson grants them full membership. However, the harassment intensifies, and Stan prevents any attempts by the Greek Council to sanction Alpha Beta. The nerds realize the only way to get the Council to help is to put one of their own in as president, which they can do by winning the Greek Games during homecoming. Dun, dun, dun. Partnering with the Omega Mu's and using their extensive scientific knowledge and creativity, the Tri-Lambs compete strongly with the Alpha Betas and the Pi Delta Pies during the athletic events. At the charity fundraiser, the nerds heavily outsell the Alpha Betas by offering pies containing hidden nude pictures of Betty and other Pi Delta Pies. During this, Lewis, who has fallen in love with Betty, steals Stan's costume and tricks Betty into engaging in sexual intercourse with him. Huh. Okay. Finally, the nerds dominate
AKA rape.
rape. Yes. Pretty blatant there. We'll get into that one, I'm sure. Probably the thing that does not hold well in this movie.
It's a 3 Days of the Condor thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Shut up. No, it's not. How dare you? How dare you? Finally, the nerds dominate the musical competition with a techno computer-driven musical production. Winning the overall games, Lewis immediately nominates Gilbert as the new council president.
Fun fact, Lambda is an actual fraternity now that started in 2006 by the University of Connecticut. So that's a fun little fact. It's a real fraternity now.
Go Huskies.
Is it a black fraternity?
I did not go into that extensive research. It probably not. It is the University of Connecticut.
We all three understand the double entendre, the pie house. They're eating pie.
Oh no, that's blatant. Yeah.
There's no pie there. It's all just whipped cream.
Yeah.
They just spray whipped cream on it, and that's it. There's
I mean, I don't know if they could have hit you any farther over the head with the name of that sorority and the fact that
they're selling pies.
They're eating pie.
I thought it was the equation for pie myself. So.
Of course.
Your mind is as in the gutter as mine is.
The Omega Moose. It's just
That's
like
another one wouldn't get away with today.
I know.
You wouldn't get away with calling women moo cows.
Oh my goodness.
Here's the thing.
It's very lowbrow humor.
It's
very lowbrow.
It's lowest common denominator. Scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like I've always said, comedy is subjective. I don't find that kind of comedy funny. It's not intelligent in any way. Bring something unique to it. And I can do a side-eyed kind of smile about the pies and you're eating pie. I get it. And why the sorority's named Pie. Okay, and because they're all hot women. Gotcha.
Hair pie? Hair pie.
Exactly. Try a little bit harder.
Well, it's 1984. I don't think they care about trying harder at that particular time.
And considering it's a write-off movie, you're surprised it's even in color.
Movie, yeah. Right.
Surprised it has any production value at all.
I mean, that's why it basically turned into a Skinamax.
It could have been, just a TNA movie, pretty much. It could have been HOTS. Remember HOTS?
Oh, God.
HOTS? 1979's HOTS. Check it out.
Oh, Lord.
I will say that I do enjoy the party a little bit. It is kind of funny.
It is.
I mean,
it has its moments.
Like Poindexter's crotch moving left and right and up and down to the music.
Oh gosh.
No, the head of the Lambda is the guy that he brings with him.
Just standing there the whole time for the most part.
They are hilarious because the one is trying to get into everything, is kind of digging it, and he is just not having it.
No.
Oh,
it's like, this is some good shit.
Yeah, they just love the joints. Like, this is some good shit. I love that line.
And then they bring out the Michael Jackson.
Oh no, Swing Low Sweet Chariot first.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Have that in a fraternity house is completely
that made me laugh.
Yes, that was funny. That was funny.
That made me laugh. It made me laugh and then cringe all at the same time.
Well, what makes you laugh?
The expressions on their faces, they're like looking at each other like, what? Yes.
It was the expressions on their faces.
And the expression on Lamar's face.
Right.
When Lamar takes the record off.
Yes.
It's actually perfectly done.
It is.
To make it work. It could come off as being, a little racist. A
little accidental.
Right.
A little over the top, but the way their faces pull it off, that's what makes it funny. Totally agree. So we found something we found funny.
Because there's why would that record even be in a fraternity's house of their collection? It was just kind of
somebody went out and bought it.
Someone. Yes.
They probably thought they were going to impress.
Well, impress UN Jefferson by playing.
That's exactly why they put it on.
Slave songs, yeah.
My
God. This is like the Negro Stole Our Dates, right? That kind of thing. Yeah.
It's worse.
Yeah. And the version that they pick is like
so slow.
So slow.
Yes.
And so deep.
Yes.
It's so dated, and it's like from the 1920s or something. It's like, what? It was very funny, yes. That was a funny scene. We can all agree on there, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
funny.
And I kind of like what's going on here. I think the party is fun. I think the crotch thing is a little overboard a little bit, but outside
Well,
that,
fun
I
until
think,
the Wonder Joints came in. Then it was really fun. Yeah.
oh yeah. And then you had the youngster.
given
He's
some to
standing in
us.
between the two ladies, and he's
Yes.
he's breaking the fourth wall by
Yeah.
Exactly.
by eyebrowing. It's funny. It's fun. I mean,
If you
come
say
on.
so.
It's a 12-year-old. This is the first time he's experiencing women.
Obviously.
But the actor themselves, they actually kept him away from most of the movie, so he's not exposed to most of the stuff.
Nice.
He did eventually watch it.
Those pesky child labor laws, right? I
Yeah.
get it.
Right. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's basically what they did. Yeah.
Because he wasn't on the panty raid, was he?
He was kind of. He was.
Oh, he was drilling the cameras in on top.
He was helping.
That's
helping
right.
drill the cameras. Yeah.
And how about that? Seriously, how do you not see cameras drilled into the drywall of your ceiling?
Same way you didn't see Bluto when he's peeping through the window.
Right. You just gotta suspend reality for a minute.
Exactly.
That is one of the creepiest fucking things.
How is it any creepier though than Bluto doing it in Animal House?
Because this goes on all night and morning.
True that, but I mean, it's still invasion of privacy.
But
and
we're talking 1984 technology. These aren't like nanny cams hidden in like teddy bears. These are actual good sized drill with a silencer. Mind you, what the hell is
something a serial killer does?
It's definitely something you see in those type of movies. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, they're geeks and they know how to do things.
But I just found it odd that none of the sorority even knew I mean, how do you not see a camera lens drilled through drywall and sticking out? How do you not see that in all the rooms, mind you?
Right, all the rooms.
All the rooms, even the bathroom.
That's some Chuck Berry shit.
Suspend reality. I get it. And I understand why it's there. It's to show their technological advance that they can get back with them.
Wow.
I did like, and you know me, hey, hardcore nudity helps a movie. If it doesn't have it, I get it.
It normally helps. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to see those ladies naked, but not in that particular type of environment.
I did in '84.
I'm saying when I'm in my 20s, early 20s,
weird.
Yes. Now that I'm in my early 50s, no, it doesn't play as well for me anymore. It's
very wrong.
It's very icky.
You're going to be serving 25 to 30 years in prison.
Right.
Oh, for now, if that was done in 2024,
I mean, this is not the Philadelphia Eagles locker room, for crying out loud. Okay, for the cheerleaders.
Oh, that happened over decades. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the 80s, not early 90s, this is funny. I mean, for
not
some
even
people,
into the 90s. I think the 90s.
I think it's still funny for people that were in the 90s. To be honest with you,
I guess American Pie did a little bit like that.
They did a little bit, yeah. Nadia.
Yeah, Nadia.
That was funny.
Yep. I mean, she was broadcast all over the internet.
That's true. That's even worse now. Yeah.
That grainy camera. Yeah. How far we've come since American Pie when it's
literally.
Yeah, I guess. Good wording there, Eric. But how technology is advanced in the form of cameras.
The biggest problem I have with this whole section is that the 11, 12-year-old kid has stayed up all night watching it with them all.
Yes.
But wouldn't you expect that?
Well, yeah.
No.
And Lamar Wormser, haven't you had enough? No.
See, I thought Wormser would come down with Lamar and they would go to class.
No.
That's my fatherly me, my 50s me, wishing that would happen.
Okay, think about this, though. When we're watching this movie, we're like Wormer's age. We're right in that Wormer category. You're kind of relating the Wormer a little bit because wouldn't you do the same thing? Come on.
I get it, but I think it would be I think as a 12-year-old, I'd be uncomfortable with other guys, 19, 20-year-olds watching porn.
Well, I'd be uncomfortable being in college if I was 12 or 14. There's a lot of uncomfortable things there.
But there
anytime
are kids
you watch porn with another group of guys, it's not right. You shouldn't be watching porn with other guys.
You definitely need to get out more.
Yes.
There's a problem.
I don't mind the panty raid too much. It could come off being fun.
Now we've talked about these three things. Okay. We talked about Bluto being a peeping Tom. We talk about the panty raid.
Yeah.
And we talk about them filming the girls against their will. All three of those things would never happen today. You know why? Because all three of those things are signifiers of what leads to A, a rapist, and 2, a serial killer.
So you say all the people who have done this that fall into that category?
I knew Skolnick was a rapist.
Watch Mindhunter or read the John Roberts book. Yes, the amount of serial killers who were peeping Toms or stole women's underwear
or named Tom
or named Tom or
killed animals
or the killing of animals and lighting of fires. The lighting the fires, the killing of animals, and the post-toddler bedwetting was considered the triad. But then they
the trilams? What?
Yeah,
necrophilia. I think they had that scene in this movie, but they cut it out.
The FBI special unit that John Roberts started and was highlighted in Silence of the Lambs. So
it's a comedy. We're really going dark here. Hold on, man.
Those are the reasons you couldn't get away with any of that today.
It's Revenge of the Nerds, for God's sake.
Those are considered aberrant behaviors.
But Bluto became a senator.
Well, there you go.
Which I guess makes sense if you're talking about serial killer. But
exactly. You would still watch Animal House. Maybe not this movie, but you would still watch Animal House.
Yeah.
So John Belushi really would have turned out to be a serial killer. Oh.
But see, here's the thing, though. John Belushi's character there, it's very brief, and it's not a patterned behavior.
I know what he's saying. He's saying that all nerds are serial killers and rapists, or one or the other, or both.
One of these guys wouldn't have surprised me.
Well, the odd. I mean, come on, 1 out of 10, you're bound to have one that's going to be a.
Yeah,
that's a given.
But these are considered aberrant sexual behaviors. It's just weird.
So when we get past these
felony items,
which the Lambdas are very much in favor of because they're really happy to get back at these nerds. Though the liquid heat into the
that's funny. That's funny.
That scene is very funny, actually. Them all trying to not leave and listen to the coach, especially Ogre. Ogre actually, it doesn't bother him until right at the end.
Yeah.
He's the one guy who it doesn't seem to bother him. And
he's a man's man.
Like John Goodman's character, he's just like, oh shit, we forgot to practice.
Right. So, shower up, boys.
That's where it should have gone to. If you just did that,
yeah,
it's fine.
Or maybe a quick panty raid, right?
You
don't need the security cameras in every room kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's much.
Yeah, it pushes everything over the top.
We haven't even gotten to the big scenes yet, but it pushes you there. We
haven't got to the biggest problem of the movie yet. But but we get to the actual game, so they can take over the council.
So dumb.
Actually, I like the games. I think they're
fun.
But
they win. They win the Greek Council. That's what's dumb.
Yeah.
Well, I like how they do it in the fact that their contests are all different types. It's not like something that the betas can win every single time.
I love the comedians. I use I use that joke all the time. What's the dirtiest thing ever said on television? Ward, you're a little hard on the beaver last night.
Yeah.
I use that joke all the time.
Yeah,
it is funny.
I mean, the talent show isn't too bad.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrific.
Okay,
I don't mind it too much.
What I like is your boat.
It's funny. The big jocks are dressed up like women.
Wow.
And the women are dressed up like the jocks.
Never saw that coming.
Ooh, never seen that before. Because it's unmanly for a jock to be dressed like a cheerleader.
They do that all the time, though.
It's ridiculous.
Powder puff.
Again, 40 years ago. We're not talking recent. We're talking 40 years ago.
Was probably
worse.
Dated.
I don't know if it's that dated.
They did this in my high school. 91, 92, 93, where the football players would wear the little outfits. And I was more offended by the row your boat skit. I'm like, oh, jeez.
It's kind of
I
dumb.
don't care for the geeks' talent either. I think
Oh,
it's
their
kinda
little
stupid.
electronic show.
Yeah, I think it's stupid.
Well,
alright.
but they're showing their superiority, which
Good.
they are based on all those other loser skits. That's like
True.
cardboard and paper mache. They use a
Right.
little bit of technology, fireworks. Yeah, I think the song is stupid. You know, Booger's Elvis and
Yeah.
what is it, Devo over there for Lewis and you
But
know.
it's-
Supposed.
But it's 84.
I would assume
They're,
they're supposed to be Devo. Yeah.
they're
Yeah,
playing to the
it's-
time. They're playing to the
Exactly.
time.
And we got the
So-
little Michael Jackson doing his little moonwalk. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually they don't do it bad, actually. Their dance actually is not bad.
No.
My favorite part is actually things like
The
the
tricycle.
tricycle race with the beer.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Takashi, yes.
And that was real
fucking
beer.
great. Yes.
That was actually real beer.
They
He
did that
actually
with
was
real
filling.
beer.
Wow.
Yeah, he gave the actors a choice of either like a cola or a real beer, and he chose the beer.
20 laps, 20
Oh.
beers.
Oh my God, he's lucky he's not dead.
How does he not
It's not
piss?
just- It's not 20 laps, 20 beers. It's doing the same thing, same scenes with different
Exactly.
angles, for
Yeah.
a while. So,
Oh yeah, he didn't do 20 beers, 20 laps, but
he probably didn't do 20 beers, but he probably did like a 12 pack.
it's impressive.
did a
I bet
12-pack.
he did more than a 12-pack.
I would think. Well, if you look at how much footage you're looking at, he's probably doing really one lap around.
We only really see
We
like,
don't know how many takes they did.
oh yeah, cut.
Right. Well,
I
it
mean, if
depends
this
on
was
how much
if
he's
this
gonna
was a Kubrick movie, he'd have been.
yeah.
yeah.
I don't think Kubrick was going to go into the college dorm
He
type
would've
of thing.
He would have been dead.
Stanley, I want to pitch you this movie. Think of it.
It's The Shining meets The Nerd.
Yes, yes.
And I like things like the tug of war where
They knew they were
drop-
gonna lose.
Yeah,
That
was-
yeah. They let it go. Yeah.
That was the first.
Mud.
All right.
That was the first time I saw that.
Okay.
You know,
And then
somebody doing
the
something like
dean
that.
Dean starts laughing, you know.
Right.
And you know what? That's the first time that they really got revenge on him outside
Yeah.
of the and the hot stuff on the jock straps.
See, those things are kind of cool. I like those kind of
That
things.
was okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The everything else kind of was over the line.
The bulging contest, I'm not a big fan on.
that's
That was
stupid.
kind of
Yeah,
dumb.
that's
but
stupid.
even the dean said, I don't care for it, but it has become a tradition. So,
And Ogre's belch was weak. He's the best they had.
how about the arm wrestling with Ogre?
And the
and
woman,
one of the
the moose.
one of the moose.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's losing and he
Yeah.
cries after.
He's like, oh.
It's actually kind of funny. It actually is
Okay.
kind of funny. I like how they play that off because Ogre is supposed to be the strong guy and he's having a hard time winning. He does win, which is good. I think it's right for him to win, but to have a little difficulty, I think that was kind of funny. The problem I have is the moon thing where
The fundraising.
the
fun-
sex.
the fundraising.
Well, I do have a problem with the pie thing. That's
What that they're eating.
But it's for charity,
got-
Ken.
they got.
I mean, that's
Eat a
something
pie
that
for
would be-
charity.
yeah.
That's invasion of privacy. There's
Oh,
How many-
people
There's
are.
so many laws that were broke.
laws
People
that
are
are
going to
broken.
jail for
Even
that
for
one.
84.
Yeah.
I'm sure in '84 it was illegal.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was. Well, it was Arizona, so maybe not.
That's my
But-
pie.
How
There should
come
have
they're
been
getting
there
so
should have been
many
more anger about that. The fact that she
They
is
should have
on,
all been expelled.
Yeah.
they should have been expelled.
They should have been taken to prison.
Here's the thing. I mean, she falls in love with the nerd after they have sex, of course.
No. Time out.
Mhm.
They didn't have sex.
He raped her.
That was a rape.
That was a rape.
Okay.
That was
Question here.
non-consensual sex.
Was it non-consensual sex?
Yes, because that's not who she thought she was fucking.
But then she wanted it again afterwards?
Wow.
We all know the reality of it is okay. First off, that would probably never happen. But the reality of it is
It's
that once
stupid.
he took that mask off, she would have went ape shit. He would have been. Oh, you're so
He would have
big."
been serving 35 to life.
Yeah.
The only thing, unless she always liked him but didn't really
No.
want to.
No. No.
Yeah.
In no universe does what happens happen. Only in this movie does anything like that ever happen. He would have been serving 35 to life.
I think.
But
I think
the
if-
way they played off, you can't. I don't know.
Well,
Can
they
you say the way
played it off on purpose. Like she's like, "Oh, that was great. I'll forget everything. You're my new
It's
boyfriend."
the only reason
Yes.
that they were able to keep it in the movie.
Yeah.
And that was only because that was the sentiment at the time. Today, No. It's never even going on to paper. This is egregious.
This is the scene that doesn't hold up the worst in this movie. It
is horrible.
This is the one that I'm even like, normally I'm the lighten up Francis guy. You're taking it too seriously.
You are.
But even this is
a step too far.
I'll be honest with you. 10-year-old Eric, when he watched that scene, didn't understand the ramifications.
Yeah, exactly.
His thing was like, ooh, the nerd tricked her. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what they're hoping for.
And that's what they got. And the other thing, too, is if you think about it, how shallow of a person is she? If you think about that, now all of a sudden his looks mean nothing. She just likes the way he fucked her. Screw you, Stan. Bye-bye. Now this guy is the perfect man.
You've now degraded her on an entirely another level.
Well, that's why
it's horrible.
That's why it needed to be done a little bit differently. So like
a little bit differently.
It didn't need to be done at all.
Yeah.
Well, listen how it could have been done.
She could have fallen in love with him in a completely different way.
Okay, that's where I'm coming from here. So there's two things. One, they set it up where Stan kind of said something inappropriate to her before this all happened. So
right.
But what I'm saying here is what they should have done was throughout the movie have her kind of do a double take and look at Lewis.
Exactly, and have him actually be nice to her, so she doesn't come off like what Eric said, where she's not degraded on that level.
It was Gilbert's character, for instance, who's very nice. If you had somebody like his personality,
it makes more sense.
And the ironic thing is Gilbert would never do something like that.
Gilbert would never do something like that.
But Lewis, being the conniving little, makes you not like him even more.
He's the one that survives throughout the next movies.
Or at least have him take off the mask before it all happens, and then she goes,
how did you get in here? But she would have never walked in there with him.
She would never have done it.
Unless you do like that gradual build-up like you were saying.
If he's wearing the mask and they go into it, but he takes it off before they do it, and she still goes through it, then we're okay.
But you have to but then we're going to complain about that, but not that it's illegal and he should be serving life in prison, but we would be complaining that they didn't build it up correctly.
Well, the most obvious is how stupid is she not to know what her boyfriend's body is like?
Or what his dick
is? Not even just that. His arms, or Lewis is like, extremely skinny.
I mean,
how does she not know his arms, his body, his lips? But I know, suspend reality. I get it.
He's got a costume on. Costume could hide some of the physicality of it.
So
not one physicality.
So we're supposed to believe that Lewis is hung like a football player?
Well, think about how did it start out though? He went down.
He went down on her.
He went down on her early, man. Things that I think
quote advanced.
Well, Stan probably never did that.
Exactly.
Right. Because all they think about is sex. So
she said, "You did things to me you've never done before."
Right. And then he takes the mask off and goes, "Oh, you're that nerd." So stupid.
And who says
it's so bad?
They had sex. It might have just been going down.
What? That's still not.
It doesn't make it any better. Yeah.
I didn't say it was any better. I didn't say that it's an excuse for it to happen.
Okay.
This is being edited out. This is being edited out.
No, I don't see why it has to be edited out. If he goes down on her, it's still a violation.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's still going to prison.
He still violated her. I'm just saying that maybe he didn't have physical, penetration sex. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. That's.
I wonder if he did.
As long as we agree.
I wonder.
I
just assumed that he did.
Yeah,
I didn't assume that he did because.
Yeah, I just assumed he did.
That he did because we didn't actually see. We just saw his head go down. And nothing else after that.
And then the little alien in the background.
And then he came back up. So
yeah, we're saved from that.
But she loves him just for that?
Here again, she's
like infatuated with him now after the fact.
Because what I'm thinking is happening here is he may have made it all about her and her pleasure. And Stan was all about his pleasure.
Ooh, wow.
No, I would buy that.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch, but yeah,
it's
really analyzing in this movie more than I thought we were.
Because there's so much wrong with this movie.
We would have come, even
he might have too.
We would have still said it was not good, maybe not criminal, the scene wouldn't have been as good had they not done the build-up correctly. And it needed to be built up correctly, or it needed to be the other nerd that she's falling for.
Yeah.
And then there's no concealing of identity. Or he does come in, and that's how he's able to sneak back behind and to get into that area. Is he has to get the costume, and then he's revealed himself, and she's like, I was hoping it was you.
Her character is very flawed. Her character should have been one that had sympathized with the nerds all along, but went along with things that her boyfriend's fraternity did.
Right.
She was torn between the boyfriend that she's been with to sympathizing with the nerds, especially the nerd that's
what you're thinking.
right.
The plot should have went.
Should have went.
Yes.
Should have went.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to make this movie stand the test of time. This might have worked in 84. It doesn't fly in 40 years later. It just doesn't. Okay, so let's just say he did that build up right. She's still on the frickin' pie. So after he's done whatever he did to her, you don't think she has a problem with her tits being shown to hundreds of men?
Does she know that yet? I don't think she knows that.
I would imagine that she will eventually
You would think
find
Stan
out.
would have... Well, eventually, you're right. You think Stan would have said something.
Right. Would have said something before the before the talent contest. Because that could have been easily taken the dean. There could, you could have easily said, no, it was consensual sex, this or that. But you can't say that about the pie.
That's not consensual.
That's not consensual, especially
that's illegal too.
Especially if it was multiple people that they took pictures of and they did it.
Well, it is multiple, isn't it?
They said in the write-up it was. We didn't get to see it, but it would make sense.
Yeah,
we see the one that Stan has to see because that's his pie. That's my pie.
That's
so that makes sense. Yeah.
It just comes off way too ucky. I came into this movie going, it was an okay movie when I saw it before. I wasn't a big fan. The reason why we did this movie because we are at the 40th anniversary. There's been a lot of conventions where they're talking and stuff. I thought, hey, we're doing the school movies. Let's touch this movie, but it's not staying the test of time. So why don't we go ahead and try to see
if it sticks to landing?
What happens with the landing here on this one?
I think we know why Ted couldn't find on any streaming services. So Coach Harris lambasts the Alpha Betas for losing to the nerds, and Stan leads them in vandalizing the Tri-Lamb's house. The nerds become despondent, and Gilbert decides to barge into the middle of the homecoming pep rally, which is a pretty weak pep rally, to voice his complaints. The Alpha Betas try to stop him, but Jefferson and a large group of national Tri-Lambs arrive to intimidate the Alpha Betas, offering Gilbert the opportunity to give a rousing speech about standing up to discrimination behind a Queen song. Lewis and the other Tri-Lambs, many alumni, and Betty, who announces she is in love with a nerd, join in cheering Gilbert, soundly shaming the Alpha Betas. An emboldened Dean Ulick instructs Coach Harris that the Tri-Lambs will now live in the Alpha Beta house, while the Alpha Betas will live in the gym until they can repair the Tri-Lamb house. Yeah, that's about how it ends.
It's a basic ending. There's not really much. You have the big speech. You have something that's done badly. Again, it's like what happened to Otter in Animal House. He gets his ass beat. Lewis gets thrown into the pool. And mind you, this is Arizona. This is in the desert. They're shooting at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's freaking cold where they're at.
It gets cold there.
And the actor said this was the worst part, was filming these scenes because of how cold it was at the end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the speech is hooray for the nerds type of speech.
Come on, everybody, join us, right? You're all nerds. It's pretty much what they're saying is, if you're not an Alpha Beta, you're a nerd. You've been picked on. You've been called this. You're one of us.
The movie's trying to make you all believe that you're on the nerd side. They're trying to reiterate here at the end, this is who you voted for. Well, we have won.
You're either on the nerd side or you're on the Alpha Beta side, and not sure why you would be on the Alpha Beta side, because they have no redeeming qualities, apparently. Unless you're an Alpha Beta, you're a nerd. That's what the movie wants you to think, which is fine. We've all been picked on.
If you say so.
Okay.
I mean, as long as I know that you're okay with being picked on.
Alpha Beta Ken here says that he's never been picked on.
I like that. That's a nice
Alpha
name.
Beta Ken. Yeah.
I like the ring to that.
Okay. All right.
All right, nerd. This is the first time I heard "We Are the Champions"
Oh.
was in this movie. It's a great way to end the movie by playing that song. It's another way to say to yourself, I want to be on the nerd side. So they really laid it on thick here at the end with the speech and the song. It's Queen, for crying out loud. Gotta back up Queen. Queen tells you to be with the nerds. You be with the nerds, I guess.
Queen needed to curate a little bit closer how their music is being used.
Money talks.
Yeah, I guess.
I think it's weird to see the coach wanting to strangle
His
Gilbert's
boyfriend.
character.
There's so many things wrong with the whole and it's just, and of course, I mean, you got they stand up and it's like this is for everybody who's been picked on. It's like, you've all been picked on. Well, whatever. It's just dumb.
I just wish they didn't go too hard on John Goodman's coach character. I think he's it's a fun bad guy.
Yeah, they don't know which lane to take him. Is he supposed to be funny?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a funny, hard-nosed coach?
It's a little bit of both.
Or is he supposed to be the dick head coach that's abusing the nerds?
Yeah. At the end, it's a little too hard. I like his character up to this point. He's anti-nerd, don't get me wrong, and I want him to be anti-nerd because that's what his character should be. But he shouldn't become to the point of violent with one of the students at the end. That kind of irked me a little bit.
Just chalk it up to things that haven't gone aged well.
The writing on this movie is atrocious. And you want to know why National Lampoon works?
Because it wasn't a write-off movie.
And it's written by people who know what humor is. And that's why Bluto being a peeping Tom is different than everything else here, is because you expect that from something that's titled National Lampoon's
and you also
Animal House.
You also have the potential rape scene in that movie that doesn't go that direction, that stops. Good and evil.
The writing here is atrocious. The people you should feel sympathy for,
the writers,
and should identify with, I blame the writers. They should have been the ones thrown off the balcony of the jock frat house. The people who you're supposed to feel sympathy for, you don't feel sympathy for, except for one, possibly. And nothing that really happens to them is what you would call overly mean or rude. It's just kind of petty. Their responses back are stupid and criminal. It's just one inconsistency after another. And very few characters, maybe one or two, are actually written well.
I like Gilbert's character from start to finish. He's the one guy that I root for.
Yeah, you do root for him, but even he's kind of milquetoast. It's like there's no real meat on his bone.
I think that's because they don't give him enough screen time. They give it too much to Lewis. Really quick, before we get to our final hooked ratings here. So, of course, this came out with 3 sequels. Nerds in Paradise in 87, The Next Generation in 92, and in 94, Nerds in Love. There was also... I don't know. I kind of like 3 a little bit. The other ones I don't care for. There was a remake planned in 2007 with Adam Brody as the lead, but
Adam Brody, huh?
Adam Brody or Adrian Brody?
Adam Brody from the OC.
Oh,
yeah.
But it didn't work out, and then
good taste prevails
because they can't do rape.
They are talking with Seth MacFarlane right now about rebooting the series.
No, please, Seth. No, Seth. I'm begging you from the bottom of my heart, don't even think about this.
But what if Family Guy does it? Family Guy nerd thing.
That's completely different.
Well, they have done some stuff. Family Guy has done some takes on.
I'm sure
Revenge of the Nerds. There was also a pilot done for a television version of Revenge of the Nerds.
In heaven.
Didn't work.
So. No,
was it on network television by chance?
It didn't even air.
Didn't even air.
Bonus on the DVD. I guess it's on the Blu-ray as well. I didn't get that far. and I never will.
Good taste prevails.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
here's the thing. I watched the pilot for the Animal House
The
one.
Animal House one, yeah.
And I learned my lesson. I'm not,
Yeah.
not going to
Oh my
bother with
God,
You're
that.
like,
dude.
nope,
So-
nope. All right, let's
Oof.
get to the rating, boys. This is what it's all about. I am so intrigued on this one. Ted, I gotta know your thoughts right off the bat.
I pretty much summed up how I feel about this.
Well, we know
This is-
that. I'm just curious how
this
low
is-
you're
this
gonna
is-
go.
The writing, it's horrible, and the directing and editing probably has something to do with this as well. It's not a good movie. I'm being generous, and I'm gonna say, because it did make me laugh a couple of times, legitimately laugh out loud, I'll give it 1.5 hooks.
Ooh.
This movie's brutal, and these guys should have been serving hard time.
Well, they did. They had to make sequels. So,
Then the next movie should have been Nerds in Prison.
like Ernest Goes to Jail. So.
Exactly.
All right. Well, for me, this movie was a favorite of mine in the early 80s when I was younger. And I'm going to admit, I haven't seen it in probably, 20 some odd years, let's be honest. So I watched this thing all the way through, and I watched it with critic eyes. Not with 80 eyes, not with today's eyes, but with critic eyes. So I was really kind of sitting down and analyzing this movie, and I'm did not age well. Now, nudity is nudity. Nudity always ages well. You at least get a half point to a full point bump for that by itself. And like Ted said, there's some funny scenes in it, but overall the movie has not aged well. It's not nearly as funny as I thought it was. Probably, 20-year-old Eric thought it was a funnier movie. 50-year-old Eric, you can really see the flaws in the acting, the directing, but it's got nudity, so that helps. I know I'm an evil person. I get it. I'm a little nicer than Ted on this one. I'm going to go 2 hooks. I was initially going to go 2.5, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, 2 hooks for me.
35 to life.
No.
Eric.
I'm not.
Just remember that.
No, I'm not. You know what? We can talk about actors. We can talk about scenarios. I put blinders on that. I look at it from an acting point of view. This is not a legit snuff film, okay? These are not people that died at the end or a real rape was committed. They're actors. It's just bad plot, bad writing, bad acting. So I'm putting my blinders on for that. It just didn't age well. It wasn't really funny. It's a borderline creepy in some things. It's 2. It's 2 hooks. Ken, what do you got? It's 4 for you, right, Ken?
I would say coming into this movie, I was kind of almost where you were at, Eric. I was probably more like 2.5 to 3, somewhere in that particular area. I wasn't crazy about this movie when I was younger, but it was okay. There are things that make me laugh. The line that I gave earlier at the beginning of this,
Mopery.
from Mopery. I love it when he's talking about Mopery. What's Mopery? It's exposing yourself to a blind person.
Is that even real? Is Mopery even real? Okay.
I don't think it's real at all. But the look on the guy's face about how ashamed he was. There was just little things like that.
Sure.
We talked about UN and his
Jefferson.
facial reactions to what was happening at the party. There are certain things here in this movie.
It's the subtle gag jokes that are funny.
Yes. There's things here that make me laugh. I like Gilbert. I enjoy his character. I kind of relate to him a little bit. I wasn't a nerd or anything like that, but I think I felt awkward around girls. And I thought his relationship with the girl that he was with was sweet, but it was never expanded on.
Judy Tenuta.
It took it a big back seat to the other nerd, which I think that's the problem with this movie, is too much of a focus on that character.
A female plays an accordion.
I don't know, but
Judy Tenuta. So
Weird Al vibes.
Yeah,
right. Dare to be stupid, which this movie really did. Dare to be stupid. But there are things I like. John Goodman's character I like. I think the Dean's character I like to a certain extent. I like Booger. I do like Booger.
The Dean with no balls.
But he's like the sweet guy at the end who like finally has balls at the end.
He's like Sweet Chuck from the Police Academy movies.
Yeah, he does kind of remind me a little bit of him a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, I do like Booger's character. He is funny at times. He's disgusting at other times. I agree with Ted to a certain extent that the writing is just piss poor here. You could have fleshed out some characters a little bit better, and this could have stand the test of time. I think I'm going to go with what you're going with, Eric. I think it's a 2. Could I bump it up a quarter? Maybe, but I might as well just stick with the 2. So there you go. 2 hooks.
I agree. What's our next one? What are we doing?
Next movie that we're going to be doing is the 1994 comedy school special, PCU, with Jeremy Piven.
A classic. Wonderful.
We'll see if that has aged well
time
after
for
30
me.
years.
You've never seen PCU?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely curious on this one. All right. Well, PCU's next. That's going to be a great one. We're going to continue that school theme. All right. Well, as always, thank you for listening, everyone. And it wasn't brains that got me here. I can assure you of that.
See you at the movies.
See you next time on Hooked on Movies. Nerds!